raffleman, dreamer, dream merchant, lottery king, India's highest income taxpayer, environmentalist, the green karma guru. These are the various labels that have come to me, pleasing me or causing me angst. I've lived with them. Namaskar. I am Ashwani Khurana. We are all stories, and I am here today to share my personal stories along with the 3 takeaways from my stories. The first tenet of society in evolution is resilience. And by that, I mean our personal evolution is an extension of societal evolution. I was born to migrants from Pakistan. My father was an embodiment of resilience. He had so many falls, rises, fall agains in his life, and that's the foundation that I inherited. In school, which was a very fancy one, disproportionate to the stature and income of my father, ended up there, and the unpleasantness of the underdog was the beginning of my life. English was not spoken in this school, by me at least. I would use expressions like when the problem with colleagues happened and I got kicked, I went to the teacher complaining, he is beating me with his leg. And the lottery business of my father was looked down upon. We lived in a resettlement colony. A particular teacher, he didn't like my face. He called me up in front of the class one day and said, "Boy, you're going to get me a lottery ticket from your father's shop tomorrow. After that, you're going to get me the list of winning numbers whenever it happens. If I do not win, or you don't get the ticket on time, you get caned." He kept his word. The bullies in the class got a cue. Thus began the abused childhood. Majorly for what? My father's lottery business. I would get cornered down the corridors. "Hey, your father said lotteries on a bicycle in the street corner." I didn't know how to deal with it. All I knew eventually was, when I grow up, I will be in the business of selling lotteries for a living. I was thereafter in great haste to grow up. I just couldn't wait. At age 14, I started to go to his shop with him, selling lotteries, 1 rupee tickets on the retail counter. I didn't finish education because there was great haste to start selling lotteries, which I did do before education finished. A lot of you are enjoying school times, college times, festivals, movies. All that part went fast forward in my life. It did not exist. Too hasty to start selling lotteries. When it began, it was not many years down. I was selling so many lottery tickets, so many of them, that I was India's highest income tax paying individual. I had brought dignity and respect to something, some activity, some business that was abhorred. The sum of these adversities that my father had shared with us, my own life, abused, eventually is an example of resilience. The second tenet for a progressive society in the move is acceptance. We all have goals. A goalpost can change, but as long as we are purpose-driven or karma-driven, life can be so amazing and successful. At some point, I had a deeper calling that my karma is more than pursuit of profits. I was pained by seeing heaps of city garbage at various landfill sites. I decided to set up North India's first factory that would treat the city garbage and turn it into biocompost. When the factory was put together, the year was 1999. I was a couple of hours ahead of the dignitaries arriving to cut the ribbon. The composting of the first lot, which came unsegregated, had been done. They would spray pathogens on the garbage as it came. Few weeks later, decomposition where it had to happen has happened. The whole thing goes into machines to turn around and separate biodegraded compost from the other stuff. I saw a lot of material going in the input side and very little compost on the output side. I asked for numbers, statistics. I was told when the feasibility report was done, 40% of the city's waste was taken as biodegradable. However, the number now was 18%. It took me a while. I thought, a few $1 million gone down the tube. But that was not my main pain. There was another reason of the pain. I excused myself, went into the corner of the room and bawled. I cried like a baby. Why did I cry? On behalf of all of us. We, as humanity, were going down the tube. Our consumption patterns were moving so rapidly that there was hardly any biodecomposing facility available from the city garbage. 40 had become 18. Can you imagine? Today it's 8%. I cried for what humanity was doing to itself. A few $1 million were gone. But there was a realization, a profound one. The pain was for all of us. I really sat down and summed up later that there's a winning experience of life that I'm gaining here today. There are actually no wins or losses. We do well and we are delighted, but there's nothing called a loss. It's a cost of learning. And I had learned my lesson. Life would bring that lesson back to me and I would put it to great use. I made that decision. The third tenet is inspired action. I call it karma. Society evolves when we all do what we love. But life does not always deal a winning hand to us. So, might as well love what we have to do. I now decided, post the composting business disaster, but the great learning, that I am going to plant 100,000 trees in the next 10 years. 10,000 trees a year. So many people came to me seeking support. College festival, the local temple, police station, the Tihar prison. Can you fund this festival or do this or do that? Well, how many trees can I plant at your place? I started to plant trees to meet the target. Down the line, I realized I was falling short of my target. How do I catch up? I started buying lands in the suburbs and rural areas around the NCR. Tree plantation began in a big way. A few years down the line, I'm told urbanization has crossed your property and the government needs to acquire. The industrial township abutting needs more land. But what happens to my babies, my trees? They'll all go. Factories will happen. How do I protect? Asked around, met some people, got a very low density golf resort with eco-friendliness as the main crux approved. Because eco was the buzz, the departments in the government were friendly. I saved my land, started to plant trees more and more. And then, as we went along, I realized that tree planting is not the only thing. We have to protect trees. So while I was selling my lotteries, what did I do? I looked at the size of the lottery ticket, like newspaper sizes. All sizes and things are like norms. A newspaper size has been the same for the last 100 years. Lottery tickets were a norm. I reduced my lottery ticket size by 10%, followed by another 20%. As the leader, everybody watched at me and what I was doing in the business. The whole industry reduced the size of lottery tickets by 30%. The cost of paper and the printing, the process was down by only 10% when you reduce the size by 30%. But yes, you consumed 30% less paper, an environmental act. I was saving trees. And that was the call and not the money because there were no proportions. I started to do that. I started to do social advertising on the back of the lottery tickets. Grow more trees. People saw a private lottery talking about grow more trees, talking about national integration, because that's another message I carried on the lottery tickets. Social advertising got my product such immense credibility that in a period of 3 years, I had moved in smaller shrunk lottery ticket sizes from 20 million a week sales to 50 million a day. And my karma was coming back to me. The land banking, the growing trees, the saving trees from extra lopping took me on a journey which further expanded into responsible living, conscious living, other things like garbage segregation. The 5 restaurants at a place I run now, all of them segregate garbage into pranic and non-pranic, not just wet and dry. The pranic waste, cows, goats, the farm animals eat it. A banana skin, for example, takes 10 hours to turn into biocompost. I also call it a soil energizer. Anything that runs to the gut of an animal, including humans, is actually a soil energizer if you deal with it properly. Karma is driving us to do the composting and therefore a zero waste, a carbon positive place. I don't come from hospitality as a background. I don't come from real estate as a background. I come from eco-friendliness, responsible living, conscious practices as a religion. And that has brought me to the helm of a place that is valued in thousands and thousands of crores of rupees. No pursuit of profit. Because What you want in life will be elusive, but if your karma is right, it'll come looking for you. Here I am, a very simple man with hardly any academic qualification, dragged my way through, sat on the back seat. Nobody wanted to be friends with me. And here I am. I think I am successful. Before I end, I want to leave you with a message, my own life message. Looking at the incidents of so many trees being cut for wood, for cremations, enough of dead trees were not there. I read it in the papers one day. I sat down and reflected. I decided, when I pop, and I promise you I'm in no hurry to go, when I pop, I'll stay 6 feet under and go from soil to soil smokelessly. I shall be buried. I would not think that I'm a Hindu by religion, because I'm a responsible citizen of Mother Earth by religion. A few months ago, my dearest mother, Kailash, passed away. I asked my sister, can we do for her what I have decided for myself? The decision is yours. And she said, yes, because you gave me the decision, it goes back to you. Let's do to Mother what you've decided for yourself. Once again, I leave this stage with this message. If I can do it, so can you. A last message. Too many tissue papers being used in our toilets. I use a handkerchief. Can we move from the tissue paper culture to handkerchiefs again? Thank you.